Imagine for a moment that you've just had a powerful realization, what you might even call a spiritual experience. It hits you deeply, perhaps shifting your entire perception of the world. You see things differently, with a clarity and insight that wasn't there before. And in that moment, the world seems new, reshaped by this experience. You might think such realizations are rare, reserved for a few, but they aren't. If you asked your family members, your friends, even your colleagues, if they've ever had a strange or profound experience like this, you would be amazed at the stories you'd hear. The rarity isn't in the realization itself, it's in the next step, turning that realization into action, embedding it into your everyday life so it becomes a part of who you are. Realizations or spiritual experiences are not uncommon. The strange, the mystical, the deeply personal moments of epiphany happen more frequently than we might believe. Yet, despite their intensity, they often dissipate. After the initial impact, life seems to return to normal. It's not that the world pulls you back into the ordinary. Rather, it's the subconscious pattern, the base of your reality equation, that reasserts itself. The habitual patterns of your subconscious are strong, stable, and resistant to change. When a realization occurs, it's like a stone dropped into the water, causing ripples that briefly disrupt the subconscious pattern. But much like those ripples, the influence of the realization often fades, and you find yourself returning to old habits and ways of being. You might recognize this yourself, a moment of insight, where everything seems to shift, only for you to find, days or weeks later, that you're back in the same routine. It's not life that's holding you back. It's not the environment or your circumstances. It's your subconscious prediction machine, the part of your mind that maintains the familiar, that keeps you grounded in old patterns. What is rare, then, is not the realization itself, but the habitualization of that realization. A realization can profoundly impact you, but unless it leads to changed actions, it will remain a fleeting moment. The subconscious pattern, as we've seen, is malleable, but it doesn't change easily. It is designed to maintain stability, to keep things predictable, which is why so much of your life operates automatically, without conscious effort. If you want that realization to truly alter your reality, you have to act, repeatedly. This is the difference maker. For some, a spiritual experience or deep realization leads to lasting change. But that change isn't just mental or emotional. It's not about adopting a new way of thinking or gaining a new perspective. It's about altering behavior. When your actions change consistently in response to the realization, your subconscious pattern begins to shift. The base of your reality equation, that stable foundation, starts to adapt to this new way of being. Your subconscious prediction machine doesn't change through thought alone. It doesn't hear your intentions or plans. You can tell yourself you're going to change, but the subconscious doesn't operate on verbal promises or mental affirmations. It only recognizes actions. If you want the subconscious to adopt a new pattern, you have to act in alignment with the realization over and over again. Take, for example, a shift in your diet. You've realized that a plant-based diet feels better for you, that it aligns with your values or improves your health. You might be fully committed to this realization, but the subconscious won't change its pattern immediately. It still predicts that you'll eat meat, as you've done for years. But as you consistently choose plant-based options over time, the subconscious will start to adjust. Eventually, the new pattern becomes automatic. You'll go to the grocery store and automatically gravitate toward plant-based foods. The same principle applies to any realization. The subconscious only acknowledges change through consistent, repeated action. It's not the realization that's rare. Almost everyone has had profound moments of insight, times when they felt a deep spiritual or intellectual shift. What's rare is the willingness to follow through, to take the necessary actions to embed that realization into the subconscious pattern. This is why so many people have life-changing experiences that don't actually change their lives. They feel the shift, they know it's real, but they don't act on it long enough for it to become their new norm. Your subconscious prediction machine will ask, "Is this the new norm?" But it doesn't ask with words, it asks with your actions. If you consistently act in alignment with your realization, the subconscious will start to adjust. But if you return to your old habits, it will simply reassert its original pattern. This is why habitualization is so rare. It requires action, discipline, and consistency. You cannot simply experience a realization and expect it to stick. You have to live it. This brings us to the power of knowing. A realization is something you know, not something you believe. Belief requires faith. It is an acceptance of something as true, often without direct experience. Knowing, however, is based on experience. You know something because you've lived it, felt it, experienced it directly. And here lies the most significant advantage of a realization. You can't unknow what you know. Even if your subconscious pattern reasserts itself, even if you fall back into old habits, the realization stays with you. It's there, waiting for you to act upon it again. This is your opportunity. You've had the realization, you've experienced that moment of clarity, and now the choice is yours. Do you allow it to dissipate like ripples in a pond, or do you take action and let it transform your reality? The subconscious will resist. It will pull you back to the familiar. But if you persist, if you act on your realization consistently, you can change the base of your reality equation. And when that happens, your reality will change.